You know, there's an old joke about who was the only biblical character to stay afloat when everybody else was going into liquidation. And the answer is Noah. But what I want to share with you today is actually a few thoughts about taking this idea about staying afloat when everybody else is going under and taking Noah, or Noach as he is called in the Hebrew narrative, slightly more seriously. Now what's really interesting is that the Hasidic masters teach us that the flood waters which submerged the entire world at the time of Noah's flood represent the stormy waters with which we all have to contend in our life, and those stormy waters really show up in terms of the struggle to make a daily living. Daily we're confronted with challenges and tests, and we're literally trying to keep our nose above water. And the question is, how can we stay afloat in difficult, stormy, turbulent times? But in fact, every day of our life we're challenged to earn a living. What is the survival strategy? And the Hasidic masters come along and say we can learn from Noah. Because actually if we look at Noah's Hebrew name, Noach, that comes from the root nach, which means to be at rest, to be easygoing. And what the insight that we learn from this is that when we're confronted by challenges, when we're tested, particularly in the area of work, the best survival strategy for staying afloat is not to fight, not to struggle, but actually to be at rest, to be easygoing. And in fact, the Kabbalah says that Noach's name, which as I say comes from the root to be at rest, indicates that Noah by personality was somebody who was humble and was somebody who could ride with the punches. The Hebrew word is savlan, somebody who's able to endure, somebody who is patient. Now the question is, how can we develop that character trait of, so to speak, going with the flow? And I think what's really interesting is making a key distinction in our lives between what we do for a living and how we do it. After all, it's a fundamental precept of Jewish teaching that the outcome of our work, how much we actually earn, is decided on high. We don't control, if you will, the outcome or the output. It's all decided by the Almighty. Now that raises the question, which we've touched on previous segments, is why do we need to work at all? And the answer is given that we need to fashion a receptacle, a vessel, to receive the divine blessing. If you want to think of it, God is, if you will, pouring out, shall we say, take the analogy from a pitcher of water, a jug of water, and we need to have a glass, or we need to have a cup to receive his beneficence. If we have not created a vessel to receive the blessing will just flow out and be wasted and dissipated. So it occurs to me that actually what we can control is the receptacle that we build in order to receive the divine blessing. And that really means at the practical level that our focus at work must be on what we can control, i.e. how we do things, rather than the outcome or the result in monetary terms, which is entirely out of our hands. And what that really means is, I think it's a great source of anxiety and unhappiness for a lot of people, particularly business owners, and I'm a business owner, where your identity is wrapped up and you identify entirely with your work and with your business. such that you feel if your business is succeeding, you are personally succeeding. If the business is going through a rough time, you are going through a rough time. If the business fails, you are a personal failure. What we need to take out from these rabbinic insights is I need to separate outcome, I need to separate what happens from how it happens. What I can control is the way I go about my business. Do I bring integrity to it? Do I bring honesty? Do I treat my stakeholders, clients and customers with care and concern and respect? So we need to make a clear division, if you will, between the role that we play at work and in business and our identity. Our identity needs to be invested in the way or how we go about doing things, not in the outcome, which is entirely out of our hands. Once we get that, that will allow us to make this key distinction, and in so doing, just relax and be more easygoing. And like Noach, we can stay afloat when unfortunately others are going under.